yesterday I went ahead and reduced the weight of the Browning trigger. And the trigger is plastic polymer trigger pack, and just being so disgustingly disappointed with the fact that the Browning, the actual trigger itself, is just a big piece of plastic, this gold coloured plastic, which just, and the reason why I think one of the reasons why it feels when you're actually pulling the trigger is it feels like you're just squeezing a piece of hard rubber, is that I think there's enough actual give in it that it just feels that weird way. It's a really weird feeling trigger unless you've actually handled one and pulled that trigger yourself. You won't know what I mean, but it's just garbage. Now, what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to close up and show you the issues that I had with the Jard, which I have now fixed, and I'll explain all that in a second. I'll just go into a close-up mode. Okay, now let's have a look at this thing. The issue that I was having was that when you cocked it or loaded it, whatever, this is a completely different system to the Browning system. Okay, with the Browning system, you would cock it, move the bolt forward, put it on safe, and then depress a button, that rocker button, and then pull the bolt out. That's with the Browning. With this one, it's a different system, and I knew that because I read the instructions, these instructions. Where is it? These instructions from Jard. All right. With the Jard system, what you do is you cock it, and then you pull it all the way back, and then the bolt comes out. Okay, and you can put it on safe, and the trigger doesn't work. You can drive the bolt, the trigger doesn't work. With this arm, whatever you want to call it, actuator arm or whatever, right? How it works is that you've got, with the safety, you've got, where's something I can point with? You've got this pin here, right? That's a screw, that's a grub screw. You screw it from underneath, from the other side, right? And when you screw it, you turn it, you orient it, because the end of it is not round, it is oval. All right, the end of it is oval, that one and that one. And what happens is that when you're on safe, there, that oval connects with that surface and prevents the trigger from actuating, from moving. When you're on bolt release, and I have to cock it. When you're on bolt release, it comes all the way back, and this pushes this pin down because it's actually spring loaded, and then so it's not working out. Spring loaded, and the bolt comes out. So it's not perfect. It does need fine tuning, because I have had to fine tune it. Okay, I have had to fine tune this because I was getting one or the other. I was getting either the safety to work and the bolt I couldn't release the bolt, or I could release the bolt and the safety wouldn't work. So it's a really fine line with those two pins, or with those two grub screws that have an oval end to them. They have to be oriented in exactly the right spot for both the safety to work and both the bolt release to work. So that's the issue that I was having with the Jard trigger. Other than that, this trigger, it's 12 ounces, and put it forward, and it just breaks. It's a beautiful trigger. there's no doubt about it. It's a beautiful trigger. But this arm setup is, it really, clearly when they tuned it at the factory, they didn't tune it properly, because I was having that issue from not day one, but I was having it. So maybe one of those spun at some stage with use, or that one would have spun with use, I think. The bolt release one would have spun with use, I think. I don't know. But one issue that I still do have is this rocker pin, right, is just a roll pin. And one issue that I was having with is that safety rocker, right? It and it does move around a bit. It was actually hitting the tang there, right? So I don't know if you can see that I've actually scalloped out. So to scallop it out, I actually removed the rocker from that arm, and if you'll see there, it's just a roll pin, which is a really half-assed system, just having a roll pin. And a roll pin is single use. Once you take it out, it's pretty much shagged. Now, so what I've had to do is try and expand that roll pin so that, because I have actually had one day at the range, I had actually that arm completely come off that roll pin. So I've actually expanded it, pinned it at the end there, and I actually tried to expand it because it's split, and I tried to expand it, and you can't see that, I tried to expand it in there. So it's all working now. So when you cock, load around, put it on fire, beautiful, 12 ounces, sweet, right? So I'll do that again to remove the bolt, or to put it on safe. You put it on safe, and you'll see that right there, right there, this arm just engages that pin, and that pin is connected to the trigger, so that, ooh, there you go. So that time it didn't work because this wasn't far enough back. So I'll just cock it again. Safety on, right? You've got to really pull that safety back. Trigger doesn't work. But the bolt is still in place. So I haven't moved. That actually moved itself. It's a bit dodgy. It is still a bit dodgy. So to remove the bolt, it's all the way back and it comes out. Safety on. That's all the way back. Safety on. And because that surface is round, it's rounded, I think that should be a little bit squarer. I really do. I think they should be a little bit squarer because it has a tendency to roll off, and the safety will not, if that is just a little bit forward, alright, so that's all the way back to remove the bolt. That's safety on, and it's just like the slightest little move, safety on, because it's actually camming on that pin, which is, yeah, so that's safety on, bolt won't come out, and the safety works. Safety forward, fire, and, well, it would fire if it was cocked. There. So I'll do that again, and leave it out. Safety on, it works. So you have to actually open the bolt to get it into the release bolt position. So one thing you have, because this, yeah, one thing you really have to, I don't know if anyone else has had this trouble, with the jar. That's why I discarded it, because the safety, I had one or two options. Either I could remove the bolt and the safety didn't work, or the safety worked and I couldn't remove the bolt. And there was a point at which where neither of them worked. So these two grub screws, the ends of them, like I said, are oval, and if they're not oriented in exactly the right position, you're going to have issues. And I did have issues, and that's the problem that I had with it. The other problem that I had with it was that rocker was actually hitting the back of the tang, and yeah, it was a serious issue. The other issue that I had was that the rocker was hitting the back of the stock cutout, which is cut out there. So I've actually, and I couldn't pull it back far enough to actually release the bolt. That was another reason why I couldn't release the bolt. So what I've actually done, I'll show you, is, here we go, is actually just taken out a bit of the stock there. Just sliced it out with a deburring tool, one of those rotary deburring tools. And now that rocker does not hit there anymore. Now let's go into the other issue that I had, well, not with the Jard but with this gun, is that I thought that when I did this screw up really tight, that one there, which goes through the trigger into the action, I thought when I did that up really tight that it was actually hitting the bolt, the bottom of the bolt, which is not what was going on at all. Because I was looking at the bottom of the bolt trying to find out, you know, where's it striking it? Where's it clashing? It wasn't hitting the bolt. What was happening was, because you've got, this is I'll tell you what the problem is, plastic. That's quite literally what the problem is, because this is the bottom metal. It's a piece of plastic. The stock is a piece of plastic. So between this piece of plastic and that piece of plastic, this piece and that piece, you've got a piece of steel. Now, when you do those two pieces of plastic up, there's enough flex and give that what was happening was that where the bolt was hitting was actually here. It was actually hitting it there, because there was actually, I could see rough bits, because I was trying to look in there. What is going on? You know, where is it hitting? Because I reduced the size of this bolt, which was at the back here, which I thought was hitting the bolt of the rifle. This screw I thought was hitting the bolt when it was here. So I've ground this down quite a bit. I have got, where is it? I have got another screw with a nice bigger head that I can use in there, but I don't know. I'm gonna go to Bolt Masters on Friday and get bigger screws with bigger heads. All right, because the heads on these things are just tiny. Nice thing about the Jard is that they actually use a Torx 15 for their screw, not just a piece of junk, hex head screw, hex socket screw. So to eliminate this thing hitting the bolt when I do it up really tight, I think I've lost it now. Oh no, there it is. It's on the ground. What I have done is, pardon me, coming out of the picture. What I've done is I've gotten just a machine washer as a shim. So I'll pan back out and I'll show you exactly what's going on. 1 minute. Okay, so what was going on, because you've got like two pieces of plastic. So we put this, I'll take the bolt out. I'll take the bolt out. All the way back. All the way back. Bolt out. Right. So, put this in. Will that go all the way back now? Yes. I'll show you in a second what's going on. Okay, that's in there like that. So this thing goes in here. Do these action screws that are just a joke. I'll do that one up nice and tight. I mean, so because these are the two action screws, I mean, you've got the further apart action screws are, the more solid your rifle, your barrel action is in the stock. You've got these two screws, tiny screws that are really close together, so that's not ideal in my opinion. Number one, the screw should be bigger. Number two, so now without that shim, it's just a screw, right? What happens is, I'll take that off. What happens is that, because I've got those screws done up tight, right? So we'll take that all the way back. It's still hitting that. You see that? So it's still hitting it. Now, remove that. So, oops, if I undo that, now the bolt should not be hitting that. Okay, this thing. I'm trying to keep those screws in there. The bolt should not be hitting that. So that's telling me that this thing is sitting too far up when I do the screws up tight. So, what do I do with that shim now? Yeah, there it is. So, we'll put this in. Get it right. I had to remove two sides of it because it was slightly too big a washer. Line that up, yep. Now, do that up. Do that up. Now, I don't know, maybe Browning would say, the Browning people would say, you're doing the screws up too tight. But, man, they're so small and they're so close together that it's just, there's just too much room for movement as far as I'm concerned. Oh, that's nice and tight. That one's nice and tight. Get this one a bit tighter. And, oops. Now I don't have any 22 snap caps, so this is a bit of a hit or miss affair because hopefully I have not altered the geometry too much. That friggin' go in. The heads of these screws are so small, it's just a complete pain in the arse to even line them up. To get the hex key in there. Alright, so that's really tight. Now let's see. So that's shimmed. Now let's all the way back. Yep. Totally free with that shimming. So safety on. No, that's fire. Oops. Safety on, and it's firing. So something's wrong. That should be safety on. Right. now I can't fire, and the bolt won't come out. Alright, so there we go. Now, once you remove that bolt, you can go further back and remove the bolt. So really have to concentrate on when I want that on safe, just want that move forward. When it's there, there's a positive, yeah. So that's working well. And then remove it all the way back. Now, so removing that bit of material out of the stock has allowed this rocker this rocker's just too big. How big is this one? This one is actually, it's shorter and it's smaller, and it's got a definite recess where it sits, and it's a much better, yeah, it's got 2 actuating arms. This one's only got 1, so this is a much more positive setup and safety, but that trigger is a piece of junk, you know. So let's try it again. All the way back, bolt out, safety, and battery, and safe, fire. And that's a 12-ounce trigger, so it's superb. Let's see. I'll pan out now and have a bit of a chat to you. So, essentially all the work that I did yesterday was a waste of time. Well, it wasn't a waste of time. I did reduce the weight of this thing. Now, what I do intend to do is whenever I go out in the field or to the range or wherever, I will take this along, just in case. Because one thing that I intend to do with this rocker is, instead of having that roll pin, that crappy ass roll pin, what I will do is I will actually thread the arm and the rocker so that there's a much more positive setup, not just a crappy ass roll pin. It's very disappointing. Jard, you've made a fantastic unit and it's been let down by one little roll pin. Just a crappy idea. The other thing is that, you know, this rocker was so big that it was actually hitting the stock, and I couldn't remove the bolt, and man, that was very frustrating. So that's not safe. Safety works. Fire, beautiful. Yeah, dry firing it again. Yeah, I know. So let's just make sure that I haven't even tried whether, after doing all that, the magazine goes in. Yes, it goes in. And that's, so is it going to pick a round up? I don't know. Soon find out. So what's today? Tuesday, is it? So I don't even know what day of the week it is. That's how my job is. I don't even, it's Tuesday, yeah. Okay, so on Friday I'll go to the range, I'll accuracy test it again, and after having weighed the ammo, and I'll get back to report on you. But I just wanted to show you that the issues that I did have with the Jard, and that I was able to fix it, and now it is working properly. The safety, both the safety works and the bolt release work, which I was having one or the other, or neither, or yeah, that system that they've got is where I think it's been let down is those grub screws with the oval heads on the end. They're a bit of a not the best idea. So Jard, yeah, because I was having I'd never touched it. when I was having problems with it, I hadn't touched it at all. But number one, that rocker is too big. You need to reduce the size of it. It doesn't have to be that big. If you just reduce the size of it by about, I don't know, you probably need to reduce the size of it a fair bit, because not only does it hit the stock, but it also hits the tang, right? So I've had to scallop out that end and remove some of the material from there. The other thing is that it sits quite low in the stock. I don't know if you can see a shadow there or whatever, but it's not flush, which looks a bit weird, but it certainly works better than the Browning trigger, which is just garbage. This thing, Browning. This is a disgrace. I think this actually, the rocker is steel. I can feel that. That's steel. But to have a completely plastic trigger is just, it's beyond words. It's just, you could have made it out of alloy, or just ordinary steel, but no, you went ahead and made it out of plastic. I got to wonder who's the brainiac who thought, hey, you know what, we can make that trigger completely out of plastic. It'll be really nice and gold, and no one will notice or be disappointed. Jeez, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there. I don't know about a lot, but there's probably people out there who own these things and go, yeah, I don't care that the trigger's gold plastic and that it's so heavy and it's a piece of garbage. But for people who like quality firearms, and it's a quality firearm, I mean, it's a very accurate firearm, and yeah, that's really disappointing. Anyway, enough of the whinging and whining and bitching and moaning. So next time you'll see me is when I've come back from the range and shot this. So I just wanted to let you know that I did the trials and tribulations of fixing the Jard, the problems with it. So anyway, just in case anyone else has been having problems with it, and I'll see you later.